This is the Blink-180 Dudes podcast for all things Blink-182, Angels and Airwaves, Alkaline Trio, and more. With your host, Todd Riley, alongside Lloyd Holiday and Rick Miner. Don't blink. The show starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is the first ever episode of the Blink-180 Dudes podcast. We are the Blink-180 Dudes. I'm Todd Riley, joined by Lloyd Holiday and Rick Miner. How you guys doing?
Great. Happy to be here.
Hey, what's going on, Todd?
Yeah, this is exciting. So, little background of our story, how we all met, actually. I don't think us three would be as good of friends if it was not for Blink-182.
Completely agree with you.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
I'll give a little backstory. These guys are a year older than me in school. I used to see Lloyd in the hallway wearing the California Blink-182 license plate shirt that said, "So many moms, so little time." And I just thought, wow. First of all, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world that I could wear that to school and like teachers didn't care. I mean, also it was small enough to the point where you couldn't read what it said, but people, like they would ask me. I remember I had one teacher ask me, it was like a 60-year-old man in English class. He just read it and shook his head and just walked away. He was very disappointed. I used to see Lloyd wearing that shirt, and I was like, wow, this guy's got to be cool. Like, because not many fans were big Blink fans at the time. Once we were in high school, I feel like Blink-182 kind of already passed. They broke up in 2004, so.
Yeah, we were the second wave.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just started going out of my way. I see, like that's when sharing lyrics as your Facebook status was cool, too.
Absolutely.
Always, like, it's definitely not cool anymore now that we're 20-something-year-old dudes. But, yeah, every now and then I would see his status, and I would just either definitely liked it. Either that, I went out of my way to comment on it. Just be like, oh, I love Blink, dude. And I don't ever actually remember the first time, like, hanging out or meeting up in person.
Yeah, I feel like it just happened naturally. A couple Blink fans. There were those Facebook interactions. The shirt was definitely a big thing, but I don't know. All of a sudden, it was just like we'd known each other for a while through Blink.
And then I remember Rick and I kind of meeting through you. I remember the first time we all hung out. We were at a party, and we all were sitting down at a table together, just having a couple drinks. And we probably talked for like 2 hours. The first time of us all, like us three,
I remember that.
All three hanging out. First time we ever talk about. You guys had a top 10 list of Blink-182 songs that you wanted to show me.
Oh yeah,
and we did. I think we'll get into that another show.
That debate's still going on.
Yeah, that's an ongoing debate. There's a couple of things I disagree with, but again, that's a topic for another show. But I remember that night, and I was thinking like, wow, these guys are the coolest dudes I've ever met. And that was after high school too, so it took a while for the friendship to develop.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, how the creation of this podcast started, I couldn't believe it took us this long to think, why are we not talking about Blink as much as possible?
Yeah, I know. I'm personally big into podcasts. I'm always listening to them. I'm obviously big into Blink. It made perfect sense to just put it together. Yeah. I know both of you guys similar, both into radio, into podcasts, and obviously we all have Blink in common. Finally, here we are.
I actually didn't even have Rick's number until a few weeks ago. I had to text one of our mutual friends for his number out of the blue. I think it was like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Just, hey, man, I know we haven't talked in a while, but do you want to start a podcast?
Yeah, I was fired up getting that text. It was, like you said, out of the blue. Didn't see it coming, but... Yeah,
not even like, I'll get to it. I'm just like pretty busy, dude. It's just immediately like, yes, I'm down. Then I go right to text Lloyd to get the 1,000% I'm in.
More than 100.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a background about us and how we met. Lloyd, you want to start off telling a little background about how you became a Blink fan?
All right, so my two older brothers were Blink fans. A lot of kids of that era were. I was a little weirder. I didn't really get into music until like late middle school, early high school. So we're talking closer to like the end of the 2000s. But I was actually watching MTV, and there was some music video show on. And I saw the video for Secret Crowds on MTV. And I immediately just like loved this song, saw that it was Tom DeLonge, knew him from when my brothers were Blink fans. And I went down this rabbit hole that I still haven't found my way out of pretty much. So I listened to, it was great. I listened to every Blink song, every album, and I just got absorbed by it. I was doing school projects on them. I couldn't go anywhere without listening to them. The whole summer where I first learned about them, I'd be out by my pool, and I mean, it was Blink playing 24/7.
I was pretty much the same way. I remember being like, it was 1998, 1999 when Adam's song first came out, and I remember listening to it in my neighbor's garage. He was a couple years older than me, and just thinking like, it was just weird because that's a really sad song. And I was probably like 5 or 6, and at the time I was like, wow, this is one of the best songs I've ever heard in my whole life. And then like after that, obviously all the small things came out. I was a huge fan of that. What's My Age Again? But like my older brother had the CD with the Enema of the State with the chick on it, the glove and everything. And I wanted to buy my own copy, but my mom wouldn't let me. She would not let me. But I used to listen to that whole album end to end, 1 through 12, starting with Dumpweed, and just play backyard baseball and listen to it on my Walkman.
That's the life right there.
Wow.
As soon as it ended, just play it over again. And I remember thinking like, because I was really into music as a kid. Like I went out and bought the Smash Mouth album when All Star came out. Yeah, I used to dabble in CDs, which was so stupid. Which I'm so glad now that iTunes and everything exists. That like I would buy $15 CDs to listen to one song,
And you had to lug them around.
Yeah, I guess that's how it used to be before iTunes, Spotify.
I remember on Now That's What I Call 8 was the first time I heard The Rock Show. And then I remember Madden 2004 with Mike Vick on the cover was the first time I heard Feeling This. The game starts, and that's the first track on there, which I was like, oh my God, they're back. Like, this is great. And then I only knew the hits, though.
Yeah, I guess I was a little different because, like I said, once I got going with Blink, I listened to every single song all the way through, and it was... I don't know, it was awesome.
Well, that was my I didn't have access. You know, Adam's song was the first song that I actually bought when I bought songs on iTunes. It was the first song I bought. I remember that. And then, but like I didn't have my own computer to use LimeWire or anything. So like YouTube to MP3 wasn't a thing then. So I wasn't paying, to hear songs that I didn't really know. And 7th or 8th grade, I finally got my own computer, and that's when I just started downloading like everything Blink-182. The first Angels and Airwaves song I heard was Sirens. And I didn't know it was Tom at first. And then I looked up the artist, and I was looking at the album artwork, and that's when they're all on the cover. Right. And I was like, wow, that looks a lot like the guy from Blink-182. And I found out it was, and I went ballistic. Again, started downloading every Angels and Airwaves song, which at the time I think only We Don't Need to Whisper and I Empire were out. So it wasn't that many. And then I found Plus 44. And this is a true story. The first time I heard When Your Heart Stops Beating, I literally thought it was the greatest song I've ever heard in my entire life. I was like, there's no shot that any song I'll ever hear again will be as good as this.
That was an awesome song.
It's
Blink
incredible.
feel to it.
But yeah, that's my getting to know Blink background. How about you, Rick?
Yeah, so with me, I was probably a late bloomer, I guess you could call me. I really have to give a lot of credit to Lloyd for getting me into him.
You're welcome.
I think he showed me most of the Dude Ranch album first, and that, like, hearing Damn It and that kind of stuff just really got me into it.
Yeah, that's weird because I couldn't. I guess the first time I heard Damn It was probably my freshman year of high school. That's so weird to think about.
Yeah. So I saw them for the first time in 2009.
Yeah, the reunion
when I still wasn't that well versed in them, I guess you could say. And then after that, after seeing them live, I mean, they're one of the best live shows. So much fun, and I just really got into it. I would say junior to senior year of high school.
Yeah, that 09 show, I know we went together, and I don't think there will ever be another concert that I go to that's as good as that. I've seen Blink 5 times. They're all awesome, but that first one, just seeing them back.
Yeah.
They had the curtain drop when Dumpweed came on.
Dumpweed came out. That's another debate I want to get into, not today, but definitely a different show, is which is a better opener, Dumpweed or Feeling This? And I feel like it's got to be Dumpweed.
I have strong opinions on that, but we're gonna hold off.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. That's again. There's so many topics that we can just jump into, but we got to hold off on that.
But quickly, Lloyd, didn't you do some research? And that was the last time they played. What song was that?
Adam's song. Last time they played Adam's song was that show.
That's right.
That's awesome.
DJ AM died either the next night.
I think it was the next night, and they did a little tribute 2 nights later, but they didn't play Adam's song again.
Yeah. I saw this is going along with that. Travis every now and then will post his the set list and things like that. And I saw during the rehearsal process, they always rehearse a bunch more songs than they're going to play. But on that list, there was probably like 30, 40 songs, and Adam's song was one of them. So maybe they are going to bring it back, which I mean, a lot of fans would love to see it. I always forget that that they used to play that live, just because I've been to so many shows since and they don't play it anymore.
Yeah, you're kind of just used to not hearing it now, but I mean, it was an awesome song to hear live.
Like, it blows my mind they won't play. I mean, I guess there's an emotional part of it, so yeah.
Reason.
But like that song is such a great song, and they'll play songs like in its place. Like now they're playing Sober. Like Lloyd knows my thoughts on Sober, and
another debate that you're gonna hear.
Another
about.
debate, but I just don't get how you're gonna go out and play that song and not put Adam's song. Same with Violence. I don't think that song. I mean, I guess the only reason. Okay, we're not gonna.
I think Rick's all in on Violence there.
I am into Violence, but I know what you're saying is like Adam's song. I think got a lot of people that weren't fans to become fans when that song came out.
I've always been a sucker for a slow, sad song. So songs like that stay together for the kids. They go right through. They don't go right through me, but I like
it.
All right, but yeah, so talking about that 2009 tour, obviously different lineup now. Matt's in, Tom's out, and we had California this summer. We'll review that another time. I'm not going to get too into it now. And now the Deluxe coming out. A couple songs out already. We're gonna talk about each of them, our thoughts on them. First, we'll start with Parking Lot, which I thought was a terrible way to hype people up for this album. Yeah,
it's my least favorite song I've heard since they've been together with Matt, maybe?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's my least favorite, but I was very, very disappointed in it. Yeah, so I remember where I was. I was on vacation in Disney World, and I'm on Twitter just waiting in line for a ride or something, and I see like new Blink-182 song Parking Lot coming out. And I remember reading an interview with Mark, and he was saying like, "Oh, this song is going to be the best song, or one of the best songs. It has this great chorus, things like that." Disney Wi-Fi wasn't strong. I turn off the Wi-Fi, go on my 3G or 4G, whatever it is now, and I listened to it, and it starts off great. I'm like, oh wow, so like this is like probably the first song I remember like hearing Matt come in so strong on, and I was like, Matt's doing his thing, and then the na-na-nas kick in, and I roll my eyes. And
yeah, I think we're all together on that one. The na-na-nas, they gotta go.
The thing with me, from listening to it, when they say fuck this place, put up a parking lot or whatever, it reminds me of that.
You reminds you of the Counting Crow song?
Yeah, and I don't like that Counting Crow song, and then I just that's all I'm thinking about the whole time.
Whether you like the Counting Crows song or not, it's kind of just like a lot of the lyrics in this song feel generic. Either like that line right there, it's almost straight from another song.
Yeah,
yeah. There's the line. It's something about we'll meet our friends at the Target curb, and that just felt like something that should go on Cheshire Cat. Like these guys are 18 writing music, they'll meet their friends at the Target curb. This isn't.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like what Blink should be writing now.
And I really do like Matt's first verse though. I like everything he like the first minute of that song up until the na-na-nas. I do really like. I think Matt saves this song. Even like
I'll agree. I definitely like his verse better.
Yeah, even his like where he says like fuck this place, let's put up a parking lot. I really like that line, like the fuck this place. Like it's really angsty. You know, it's angry. It's like cool. It's like fuck, let's get out of here. Like even like the let's put up a parking lot part. I can get on board with that. I really don't mind it. But then Mark's like once the na-na-nas kick in, and then Mark's second verse just like doesn't fit in the song. Like I guess it's because I can relate more to Matt's verse about like, you know, getting drunk on a train, going to a concert. Like the way he speaks in it, like his lyrics, it takes me to a Linkin Park concert, which is weird because I remember
talk about that.
Yeah, I remember going to those concerts and just like getting the shit kicked out of me, trying to keep up in the mosh pit. Like you guys know my build. I'm a tall, lanky kid. I can't keep up in there. But like $10 paying for it and just going to like get the shit kicked out of you in a mosh pit. And like so, I really relate to Matt's verse, and then Mark's verse comes in, and it's just like it doesn't fit. It's like
it doesn't.
It's just all over the place. Like. And I think there is a line in there that I thought was cool to put in, but it came off bad. Like I rolled my ankle, matches broke his wrist. Like I thought it was cool that they were like brought them into it. Like it's like we're singing.
Yeah,
this
bringing
is us.
their names into it.
When interesting part of it when Mark and Tom first met, Mark like broke his ankle or something like at a skating park, like climbing a light pole or something like that.
Really
impressed Tom. So I think that might have something to do with it a little bit, and then kind of like being like a slap in the face though almost to Tom by saying like Matt just broke his wrist or whatever.
I think when I mentioned that it felt a little Cheshire Cat or Dude Ranchers. That's kind of why I knew that background story, and it just felt like something that belonged in music back then.
Yeah,
not now.
I didn't. His verse just didn't do it for me. It wasn't good. It was really bad. And like I said, the na-na-nas are just gonna keep getting me. Like I don't think they can keep doing that. Fans are picking up on it. That and the woes from Matt, which I actually don't even mind though.
It's really the na-na-nas.
The na-na-nas, yeah. The woes like kind of like can fit in, but not the na-na-nas.
Yeah.
I basically final thoughts, and I think Matt saved the song. The bridge is good too. I really like the bridge. It's that I see that's kind of generic and like they're just like throwaway lyrics almost, but it
sounds good.
It sounds cool. He has a really cool voice.
Yeah, I think I got a text from you, Todd, when the song first came out.
Yeah,
and I can get hyped up about any song before I hear it when it's Blink. So I'm expecting like the best song in the world. There's no way I'm not gonna like it. And even that first listen, like I want to convince myself that like this is a good song. But we went back and forth. We texted like, "What are your first thoughts?" And I think we were on the same page.
Neither of us were
like the right
impressed.
song.
We both just said like, well, I mean, these were songs that didn't make California, so I'm not gonna be too excited about this album now.
Right.
And that changed when Misery came out, which I'll get to very, very quickly. But there's one more point I wanted to put in about Parking Lot. There was an article where Mark kind of gave like a track by track of the new songs that are being on California Deluxe. And they said Parking Lot was actually the last song that we wrote in this entire process. We started putting together the Deluxe edition and noticed a lot of these songs were down-tempo, angry, and we wanted something with a lot of energy, which explains why the song feels so forced, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like I said, of the two, and maybe it's an exaggeration, but of California and what we have from Deluxe so far, it's definitely near the bottom.
Yeah, oh,
in terms
absolutely.
of the songs.
And like I said, it's a shame too because I really like Matt's part in it, and which is weird, because he's like the new guy. So I almost feel like I'm betraying Mark by saying that. But like he didn't do well. Rick, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I think you guys really nailed it. Especially, I didn't think of it, but after Lloyd said just talking about like younger kid type stuff, and like, I mean, yeah, they have an audience that can be younger, but it doesn't sound real when it's now they're how old are some of they're like in their 40s or almost 40, and you're just like, all right, like it makes sense when you listen to the young guys sing about it, but not now.
But you're not meeting at the target curb.
No shot. And maybe they're trying to like hone in on maybe some nostalgia for their older crowd.
I think that's what it is.
That would make sense.
But I don't think it works.
I just don't think it came across right.
Yeah, that's definitely what they go for. Because Mark's big thing too with starting California from the beginning, he was saying like a lot of these songs sounded they could have been like on like Enema of the State or things like that, which I agree with. But I think that it showed that they were trying to capture that. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't excited at all for the deluxe edition when I heard Parking Lot, but then Misery came out, and wow, that honestly, besides San Diego, I think this might be my favorite song that they've done, deluxe, or not just California in general.
Yeah, it's an awesome song. Like Todd said, I was feeling a little down about the Parking Lot coming out, and then they dropped Misery, and boom, I was right back in. I'm ready for the deluxe album. Put it out now.
Yeah. So when I first hear that song, it starts off, Mark with those dark lyrics and things like that, which I think that's where he does his best. Mark, like we were just talking about, Adam's song is a great song. Say Together Kids, great song. It has that kind of feel to it, like it's dark, and he's just something about him that just captures it very well. But the only thing I didn't like from the beginning, the first pre-chorus came in after Mark's verse. The da-na-na, there's a halo in the distance. That part, I thought that came in too soon in the first verse for some reason. Not so much in the second. So I guess that's why it does work. But I remember first hearing it, like, did that come in too soon? But then the chorus comes in, and it's just so great where it doesn't matter. But that was my only thing I didn't like about it. I'd say it's just that I felt like that felt a little rushed, like they just jumped to it too quick. But I still think it's it's one of their best songs they've done so far. Like the bridge. The bridge is another thing too.
We've talked about this.
My first listen through, me and Lloyd are texting back and forth about it, and I say the only thing I didn't like was the word oblivion being used over and over again.
I mean, he said it like 10 times.
In the bridge, and I mean it's grown on me now, but at the time, I guess because it's such a strange word that I was just really thrown off by it.
Yeah, it stands out when he says it 4 or 5 times right in those few lines there. But I just listened to the song on the way over to record, and I don't know, the bridge, I thought it was awesome. It sounded good. I got past that little thing with Oblivion there.
All right, Rick, so like, what are your thoughts on Misery?
I like it. Obviously a big improvement from Parking Lot. I think they maybe should have done that in reverse as far as releasing the songs.
Exactly.
But one thing I want to hit on, and I know we've been talking about it, is these lyric videos for these songs are awesome.
Yeah, interesting point about those lyric videos, because we actually have the person who's been doing those lyric videos coming on our podcast very soon. Probably our 3rd or 4th episode that we'll do will be with him.
Yeah, he's going to come on after the deluxe album drops, I believe. And
yeah.
We're pretty excited for that interview.
I think it's a great way to really get fully immersed in the song when you see exactly what they're saying, at least for me. Even not so much now, but maybe back when Tom was singing and some of those words maybe meshed together. You didn't really know what he was saying. But I think the lyric videos are awesome. I think they're great for new fans, like to really get involved with the band.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting them out right away, so I think all of these songs off the deluxe album, when I first listened to them, they've all been on Blink's YouTube page, so they have these lyric videos, and it's like you said, it's just cool. You get to see the lyrics. You feel like you know the song more right off the bat.
Exactly. Right. First time listening to it, you'd see exactly what they're saying, and I think it helps for sure.
Can't Get You More Pregnant was another one that came out. It was just a joke song. Wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah, I'll talk about this one real quick. I like that they're still doing the joke songs. You know, you're going to get 1 or 2 on every album. And, I mean, it's been that way forever. So I like that they're sticking with it, even with Matt, because he doesn't seem like a joke song type. With that being said, I didn't like this one that much. It's not their best joke song.
I think Built This Pool was their best one. Well, of the newer ones, obviously.
I agree.
Like Happy Holidays, You Bastards, probably still up there.
Those Take Off Your Pants and Jacket ones, they're all classics.
Yeah, those are great.
I think Built This Pool was the only one that felt actually funny to me after hearing all of them.
Yeah, this one certainly didn't, if I'm being honest.
I think Bohemian Rhapsody, that's a really funny line. So I think that's why I give it more credit. But Can't Get You More Pregnant, just it felt forced. And it was. Mark talks about that, and he said, John Feldman, he loves the Blink joke songs. So he asked Mark, like, hey, do you have any more? It's the same thing happened with Bohemian Rhapsody, actually. They wanted one more joke song, and that's what came of it. But he said, do you have any more joke songs? And they came up with that idea and recorded it in 2 minutes. So I'm not gonna sit here and critique it, but. It was a forced joke song.
I wonder what Matt's take on that was, being new into the band, and
I think he definitely thinks they're funny. I think it would be the weirdest thing in the world to hear him sing on a joke song, though.
Yeah, that
would be too weird. I think that's the one territory he can't step into. I'm pretty cool with him doing most things with the band now, but I feel like a joke song, which is it wouldn't sound like real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Matt did a good job transitioning in. Replacing Tom, which was tough to do because if our listeners, I don't know if you're Alkaline Trio fans or not, but if you know the band, you know that it's not too similar. It's a similar style to Blink, but it's completely dark.
It's darker.
Darker, yeah. It's completely
which
different,
I think is
darker.
Why Misery and 6-8, which we'll get to next, is they've been working really well.
Agreed. It wouldn't be right to have Matt do a joke song after hearing Alkaline Trio.
But especially going off of that and his transition, I think even live he did really well. I mean, that could have been one of the hardest. I don't want to say he mimics his voice, but people are so used to that voice of Tom, and I think it was hard for a lot of fans.
Some of the songs live too, which this might be another topic we can get to on another show. But some of the songs live, I like Matt's version a little bit better. Not most of them, but Always is one for me. I think it fits his almost Sinatra type voice.
Yeah,
where he's the whoa, and the way he ends Always with those woes, which I'm saying it sounds really cool.
I mean, I've seen, like I said, I'm gonna put the 2009 show aside because that's the top one for me. But I've seen him twice, other than that, with Tom, and I've seen him twice with Matt, and it's really, I mean, they're all on the same level. I think Matt did a really good job stepping in, not being too much like Tom, but still filled in well.
Exactly.
All right, well, and then we're moving along here. We're gonna get to 6-8, and actually we're gonna have a guest, our first ever guest from Take Off Your Pants and Podcast. Mike will be joining us. Didn't get his last name actually, so we're gonna get to him.
We're gonna call him Mike.
We're gonna get him on the call, and he has a really cool theory about 6-8, which is why we're bringing him on.
Yeah,
I feel like I should mention why we're bringing him on. I was listening to their podcast the other week. If you haven't listened to it, don't listen to it because ours is better. But listening to them talk about what they think the song's about, and Ryan, the other guy that he hosts the show with, had this theory that it could be about Trump and politics and things like that, which I could somewhat see, but I don't think they're at a point. I don't think they're going to get political on us, which they might. I know they're both very anti-Trump, just
they're
from social media.
But I don't think they're at a point where they need to bring that into
exactly.
their music, and they're smarter than that.
Yeah, I agree.
But Mike starts talking about how he thinks it's about Tom, and the screams that Matt has in the background. He made a good point. He'll get all this, but I'm going to give everyone a brief introduction. That the screams in all the lyric videos, in every single one, every lyric is counted for. Every lyric is on the screen. Even in "Built This Pool," at the end when Travis says, "Is that really it? Is that really it?" shows up on the lyrics.
Yeah.
So, and screams were distorted and kind of covered up, and they didn't put them in the lyric video. But Blink fans are crazy on getting on top of things, and within the first couple hours, I'm assuming someone had what they were saying. And the shitty guitar needs some fucking personality, and this song needs some fucking personality, and things like that.
Todd texted us right when this song came out, and that was one of the first things he went to was those screams in the background. He didn't know what they meant, and you said you're going to be up for days thinking about this. Like, you need to know what they're saying, and then we got a text a couple of days later with the lyrics. So,
and that's
Blink fans for you.
It's exactly what Rick was just saying. Like, you need to know what they're saying, and especially now where you get everything right away. We're getting a little off topic, and I'll try to get back to it. But like, we want those lyrics, and so what Mike was saying basically is that he believes that these could be things that Tom expressed to them in the studio. Like, this shitty song needs some fucking personality, and like it was the way Tom was pushing their music, like with that Angels and Airwaves type sound, which I didn't mind at all. Like, I like different styles. Like, I like this different style of Blink is different than what they were doing before. So it could be things that, like, they were just frustrated with Tom, and Tom was frustrated with them, and he was yelling these things at them. And we're going to call him Mike and now get his take on it. So we are joined now by Mike from Take Off Your Pants and Podcast. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's everyone doing over there?
Not well. We're kidding. We're having fun. But we're doing great, having a good time talking about Blink. Big fan of your show. I did just tell our listeners not to listen to yours because we want to take all your listeners.
Oh, and, please don't do that.
There's room for two here.
We do not want you guys to have a show. We want everything. We are not willing to share. But yeah, so I'm listening to Mike's show, Take Off Your Pants and Podcast, which as a Blink fan, I love it.
Thank you.
So I'm listening the other day after 6-8 comes out. And obviously you guys are talking about your thoughts on it. And I like what you guys do. You guys try to, decipher the meanings of songs, which a lot of people like to do. And like you guys said, there's a million different things it could be about, but your theory was very interesting. I gave a little brief background. I'll say it again for our listeners, that you believe that those things Matt is yelling in the background could be things that Tom had expressed and yelled at them in the studio. And like I just told you before we started, I don't think I've seen that kind of theory out there anywhere on the internet, through Reddit or YouTube. So just talk to us a little bit about that theory.
Yeah, this entirely came from like me just trying to figure out what the hell the song's about, because the lyrics they're pretty intense, and like it's one of the things that people picked up on this song is that the lyrics seem pretty gnarly, and like, what the hell is this about? And a lot of people were saying, anything from global warming to the state of the band, And those are definitely all plausible. I think, like in our show, Ryan was talking about it. I think it could be a little bit about some politics stuff, and I could see that. But I just think it's weird what Matt is yelling, like what he's yelling. If you don't know, because it's not written out and it's pretty indecipherable, is he saying the song needs some personality, the song needs some fucking personality, and then like this guitar needs some personality, right? Doesn't he say that?
Shitty guitar needs some fucking personality.
Yeah, the shitty guitar needs some
Very
fucking
aggressive.
personality. Yeah, it's not the kind of thing that you'd hear in a Blink song or like any song. Like they just didn't strike me as like lyrics, especially with the last ones. Like I am a disappointment. Like so, why don't I disappoint him more? Or something like that. And I so I'm trying to think like, what the hell is this? Like, why is this in the song? Why is it so hard to hear? Why are the lyrics not written out in the lyric video? Because if you go back to other lyric videos, even when they had incidental things like Travis saying, "Is this it?" at the end of "Built This Pool," that was written out in the lyric video. So anyway, it just all struck me as weird, and I was thinking, I could see this. The song is about betrayal, and I could see that. What these things he's saying, this song needs some shitty personality. This guitar needs some personality. I could see that being things Tom has expressed in the studio. It just seems like it fits pretty well to me. Like I said, it might be total harebrained, but I find this very intriguing.
Yeah, I love the theory. When Todd texted me about it, I was all aboard. And I think one of the things that backs it up a little bit is in their lyric video on Blink's YouTube page, it leaves those lyrics out. So if they were going for something like this, where they're taking past Tom phrases, I think that makes a lot of sense to kind of leave it up for interpretation like that.
Right. And they like the way Mark has kind of been in interviews with the whole situation since Tom has left.
He won't talk about it.
He seems like the kind of guy who would talk about it maybe, but not he seems like the kind of guy who cares enough to maybe put this on the album, but would not want to have the lyrics written out expressly.
Yeah. No, I can see that. He's very, very vague and I think he tries his best to, for as big as a situation as like what they're dealing with, they do a really good job of not talking about it.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, I want to ask you guys, so one of the like typical pushbacks to this kind of line of thinking, I mean, that's a common thing I hear all the time, is like, stop saying all the new Blink music is about Tom. So yeah. Why do you think, in spite of that criticism, what attracts you to this theory?
Well, I'm the same way. I try not to think every song is about Tom, because I mean, obviously there's some that aren't, but like Rabbit Hole, They Express was about Tom. San Diego, They Express was about Tom. Maybe Cynical.
Yeah, San Diego. It's pretty hard to. It'd be pretty hard to get out of that one being about Tom.
Yeah, Cynical was about the state of the band.
Yeah,
but that's
I think
Tom's
you could say
involved
Bored
in
to
that.
Death as well.
Yeah, and Left Alone, kind of, I could maybe see, but other than that, I tried not to. And like, like I said, it's a big major thing that happened in their band. Like they can't not write about it. First of all, as a fan, if every song was about Tom, that would be amazing for me. Because if I'm Mark and Travis, I am pissed off at Tom for the way he almost destroyed the whole Blink legacy.
Yeah,
I can see that line of thinking, but at the same time, you want to go on making music.
Yeah, you don't want to be obsessed with him, but there's definitely feelings of anger and things like that, and disappointment and all of that. That their music is like, they express that in their music. So
I think if they do want to do something like this, where they take a little shot at him, they did it in the perfect way with the screaming in the background. Like I said, you can't make it out quite fully, but it's there.
Yeah, totally. And I think too, more than just frustration at Tom specifically, I think there might be a lot of, when you were bringing up songs like Cynical, just frustrations about the whole state of the band, and larger than just Tom, but just like, God, this, like, we were sort of in this trajectory, and in 2005 just kind of like stalled, and like, God, this has got to have been, taking Tom aside from it, just the whole situation's got to be like very frustrating.
Absolutely.
No, I completely agree, and that's why I think Cynical was a perfect way to open up that California album.
It's the best. Yeah, exactly. It's the best.
But yeah, sticking with your theory, I remember when I first heard you say that, I got so excited about that theory. Like, I think I immediately texted Lloyd over here. I immediately text my girlfriend, because I say, I just heard the coolest theory about this song, and she likes Blink because of me.
Oh, that's good. I mean, yeah, the beginning of like texting, the idea of like texting your girlfriend, like, hey, I was just listening to this Blink-182 podcast and I have a great fan theory about the new song in the Deluxe album. Like that.
I thought it was so cool.
That's a risky text.
Yeah. I immediately messaged you guys on Twitter, which I'm sorry for the double DM. I seem like a desperate guy looking for a hookup. Like, so you guys
no worries.
up?
I don't even like really use Twitter. So
yeah,
that's
no,
my bad.
Ryan. That's got to be awkward for Ryan now too, just knowing I want you and not him.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I guess I'm chopped liver.
But yeah, so I think I said that theory was totally exciting me, and the only reason why, I originally heard the song, I thought it was about the state of the band, and then the betrayal part of it though could easily be about Tom, and I think. In my theory now, after listening to your theory and my theory, I think it's a combination of the two.
Okay.
Like, it is about, like, I think I want those parts to be about Tom. I don't know if they are.
Yeah.
We're not going to find out.
Yeah.
They're not going to come out and say.
I really want them to be. So if that's it, I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
How fucked up would it be if, like, years from now, like a phone video surfaces or some bullshit from the studio, and it's just Tom like yelling like, "This song needs some fucking personality."
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I thought for sure like that's what you just described. I could like picture like when that theory, I could like picture like.
I think that's why for me too it resonated so well. When I just thought of it, it like kind of clicked. Yeah, like I said, it might be total bullshit, but it just seems like something that would like fit. Like just based off what we know, it rings true.
No, absolutely. I think for sure like there's definitely because even when they got back together, they admitted like there's interviews with Mark where he says like, yeah, we fight, but it's part of being in a band. But I think there was just so much more frustration after that Tom had and where he wanted to push the band. I remember seeing an interview with Travis too that. Travis said that Tom wanted to make them sound like
yeah,
Coldplay.
I think there was a bit of that. I remember it might have been that same interview. Travis was kind of saying like he felt like they would write these songs and then Tom would want to be like, okay, now I'm gonna like change it and just make it weird for the sake of being weird or add an intro. And he's like, why do we?
Yeah, exactly.
Like we wrote the song. Why does it need to add this intro? Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. He was. And you kind of saw that on Dogs Eating Dogs and a little bit with Neighborhoods of like that influence. And I actually think the intro for When I Was Young is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely moments where that kind of butting heads clicked and it produced some pretty good results. Like the era of Blink that was, Tom after the reunion, but before the second breakup. It's definitely like probably the most mixed era of Blink, but it's not all bad. Like there's some good stuff there.
Like when I think of like albums as a whole, like I don't like I like Neighborhoods because like I'm a Blink fan, so anything they put out, I'm gonna like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have learned to be more critical. Like we were just talking about Parking Lot, and I said Mark ruined Parking Lot.
That's strong words.
Yeah, I think exactly, and like I don't want people to think I hate Blink, but like Mark, the way like his second verse, I just thought was very cheesy and just didn't fit. The na-na-nas, I'm getting tired of. And I think that song would have been really cool if it continued the way Matt was taking it.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the disjointed nature of Blink or music in general, I actually kind of like that about Parking Lot. And yeah, it does sound like a different song when Mark's verses come in, and it's like almost like a Beach Boys by way of punk thing.
Yes.
But
yeah.
To me, I kind of feel like that song is so much about growing up, and you have Mark Matt's kind of referencing like his like super punk upbringings, and then it rings true to have Mark's verse be a little softer, I guess.
Yeah. No, I was saying that, and I guess I was saying this. I guess that's why I like Matt's verse better, but I can relate to Matt's verse. Like I remember going like drinking on the train, going to get the shit kicked out of me at like a Linkin Park concert.
Oh, that's pretty hardcore. Lincoln.
Exactly. Linkin Park, do or die, bro.
Are you going to be able to make it to Blinken Park?
Yeah, we actually are.
About it. It's just a matter if we're going to one or two.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm really excited for you guys. That'll be a trip.
Yeah, it should be awesome.
I'm a little disappointed that I think Linkin Park's going to be like the headliner. Like they're going to be have like the longest set. Like so Blink will probably, but that's a little bit of a letdown. But
Yeah,
I'm
it should
still
be
very.
awesome.
I'm excited because I remember seeing the tour and they were kind of touring in the U.S., but like this is majority a UK tour. I found out that they were doing those shows here, and I got so excited like immediately. Like I'm gonna spend a lot of money on these tickets because
Hey, when's the next time that Blink-182 is gonna play with Linkin Park
Exactly.
and call it Linkin Park? And yeah, I mean it's like an
yeah,
event.
exactly. And not only that, they might not tour again for another couple of years. I mean, they just put out these 2 albums. They're gonna tour them. Matt's got to go back to Alkaline Trio soon.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting like so much Blink stuff that I'm trying to like, you gotta appreciate it while it lasts because it's not gonna go on forever.
Yeah. So like moving along here, I told you I wanted to talk about this too. Speaking about Tom, I've noticed this week in particular, I think it was Thursday, Tom posted 5 Instagrams
Yeah.
in one day.
I noticed this as well. There's some interesting stuff.
It's very strange. He's always been like a guy who will post a lot, but here's my thing. If he is as busy as he says, if you're busy, you do not have time to post on Instagram, yet alone 5 times. And that day too, he was also tweeting. There was probably more pictures that he tweeted pictures that he did on Instagram.
Yeah, I was just going through his Twitter. I mean, there's a lot of content lately.
Yeah.
And the last one I noticed was I'm putting out music. I'm going to start, putting music together sometime next week. And I know that he probably was going to put music out in August, I believe, when there's another. I probably should have looked this up before, but there's another book or short film or something that's coming out that's going to have music along with. I'm pretty sure it's a short film.
Yeah, I think it's the Strange Times. I think is what's coming up, and it's going to be some kind of movie and along with a new album. I think.
Yeah, which will most likely I kind of believe will be an EP again because he's not a man of his word.
You don't have faith in the full album.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I would either. Just based off of the We Don't Need to Whisper thing, he kind of like it seemed like he intended to do an acoustic album and then just never was able to make it happen.
I'm actually, I don't know if you were a part of this, and I probably should have looked it up. Are you a part of the To the Stars digital team at all?
I'm not a part of the To the Stars digital team.
I got involved with that, and it's pretty cool because their director of I work in marketing, and the director.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, and the director of marketing and that, like, you get to basically kind of see like what their plans are and everything and things like that. Like, and they ask for help from us for like promoting, like it's a brand ambassador, pretty kind of like volunteer at your own like will. But it's pretty cool to like be behind the scenes and all that, and it's crazy like. They even like put in there like there's gonna be a surprise for like the anniversary of We Don't Need to Whisper, which was supposed to be that acoustic album, but
it never.
It's not coming out.
yeah. I kind of imagine like Tom's workflow is like he has ideas for a project and like everyone does and but like as is to want happen, not every idea comes through to fruition. And it's the problem with announcing things this early. Like you gotta wait. You gotta wait to like announce it till it's like you're sure it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Another thing with the EP, I feel like it's gonna be an EP because he doesn't have to help anymore. It's just him and Alon.
Yeah. I mean that's the other thing is it's a lot of work for him to do these. I mean the last EPs he didn't play the drums on them, but I think other than that he did everything.
And there's one point I really wanted to make about Tom versus Blink. This is a line I've had in my head for a while, and I've never had a platform to say it on. So I'm really excited I finally have a platform to say it on.
That was the whole point of this show.
Yeah. Just as soon as I get this line out, we're going to be done.
Episode 1 and done.
But basically, my view on Tom versus Blink is Tom writes music because he has to say something, whereas Mark and them are writing because they have something to say.
I like that. Going deep a little bit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like, Tom has to write. Like, if it was up to Tom, I don't know if he'd still be putting out music. Like, if nobody was bothering him for it, I don't think he'd care enough to.
That's a really kind of piggybacking off of that. I feel like the way Tom has approached music with kind of Sense Angels and Airwaves is like it's not coming from a place of sort of like genuine feeling. You're right. It is sort of more of like a job or more detached, like this idea of like, I want to write a big song and I want to write a song that gives you this feeling, as opposed to I'm having this feeling and I want to express it through the song.
Exactly. Like when that To the Stars odds and ends demo thing came out, which that there was a couple good songs on that, but like songs like Circle Jerk Pit, where he went out of like he tweeted like, "Oh, I'm gonna write a song that's gonna be the fastest punk song I've ever written in 20 years," and the song sucked.
Yeah,
That song
and
is
it also
awful.
it didn't do itself any favors, I think, by kind of positioning itself as that, because you could just go back and listen to my first punk song off Boxcar Racer, which I did just kind of out of curiosity, and listening to it back to back, I mean, it's like no comparison. I mean, yeah. So it is kind of weird, but there have been moments, I think, where Tom did kind of sit back and take stock about his writing process and ended up producing some cool stuff. Like there's some cool moments on Dreamwalker that I think were a result of him kind of
trying to change.
Trying to take pause of a minute and be like, okay, what do I want to say?
I think he hurt himself by announcing that he was doing that too.
Yeah.
Because he made it sound like it wasn't going to be like anything he put out before. And then in the first song off that album, Teenagers and Rituals, and he da 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 like,
right,
dude, that's exactly what you do in every other song.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in his defense, though, I will say Dreamwalker is I think it's the most different thing he's probably done in Angels and Airwaves. It's the only thing in Angels and Airwaves besides a few of the EP stuff that sounded like experimental music.
Yeah. Like Tunnels is probably maybe the Wolfpack. More so just Tunnels, though. It's like the only one that sounds like an Angels and Airwaves song.
Yeah. Tremors, I think, has a little bit of a Angels and Airwaves vibe, but then you get songs like Kiss from a Spell, or I think it's called.
I didn't like that one.
You like it or not, though. I mean, it just doesn't sound like anything they did, So that was cool to hear.
Yeah, that was very electric sounding or electronic sounding, very techno.
Yeah, it was like an '80s like Depeche Mode kind of vibe.
Yeah. But I think that album showed that he got lazy too by just 10 songs. Like I get that it's hard to write a full album. I'm not saying that it should have a certain amount of songs, but 10's like the minimum amount you can have to put out a full album. And the 10th song was an acoustic song, Anomaly. And I think that he just, he couldn't finish it. And he kept putting, because at first it was supposed to come out on Halloween and it ended up coming out in December. And I think that he just couldn't finish it because of all his everything he takes on and put together. He threw together I like the song, but I think he just threw that together last second.
I definitely get what you're saying. I do think, though, the Dreamwalker has, I imagine that it took a lot more studio time than some of the other Angels and Airwaves ones because of how much was going on there. But I think I do see what you're saying about his just kind of general career trend right now of having I don't know if lack of focus is the thing, but you're kind of right, where these after that album, which was, only 10 songs and wasn't as long as it could be, there wasn't ever a tour around it, which I thought was insane. I couldn't believe they just didn't tour that album. And
they also didn't have a band.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is he kind of I don't know if you guys watched any of those behind the scenes videos on the making of the album.
It's all just him and Alon.
Yeah, and it's mostly the other guy, like Alon, who's awesome, but it's like it seems like, oh, this was mostly like, I feel like Tom like produced an Alon album.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think that I think that's why he kind of like hyped up the fact that Alon was helping so much, or like he was trying to change. I think because Alon did most of the work.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like with the lines in 6/8, we'll never know, but it just seems, and given that it just doesn't, it sounds so different than Tom, it makes me think that a lot of this was Alon.
No, I absolutely do agree with that.
Do you guys know, like, what the state of Angels and Airwaves is right now? I mean, is Alon officially out of the band? Is he in the band?
I think he is in the band. I think as of right now, I remember, I'll look this up right now, but I know before when you used to go to the Facebook page, like when everyone realized that David was out and Matt left and they brought a new bassist, and I don't even remember the name, but they brought him in for like,
there was the guy from Thrice, Eddie Breckenridge, and I was so stoked because Thrice is kind of cool, but then they never did anything.
Yeah, and then and 2 weeks later in the band description on Facebook, it just says, members Tom DeLonge and Alon Rubin. I'm gonna look at that right now. I'm pulling up their Facebook page.
I feel like that whole kind of like lack of communication is pretty frustrating. I think that's, I don't know. I feel like Angels and Arrows like could have been, it was never going to be as big as Tom wanted to be, but it could be a much bigger band, I think, than it is today. If it weren't just for some kind of communication issues with what's going on with that band.
Well, and I think another reason why David left too is because they weren't. I think Tom expressed that his plans weren't really to do Angels and Airwaves much longer either, with all the other stuff he had going on.
Yeah.
I know that I read like a quote or an article. It wasn't even an article. It was just like looking through social media. Someone had talked to David, and he said that, there's no bad blood, but Tom's doing his own thing and like making children's book, and there's no paycheck in that for David.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not everyone, if Tom's a millionaire and he can afford to kind of dabble in a lot of projects, but if he is going to do that with other people, they need to be in a similar situation too.
Wow, we really got off topic.
Well, there's no such thing as off topic.
Well, that is true. But that's what we were talking about earlier though on the show. There's so many topics that we feel like we can get involved in and like just go on a tangent for an hour.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I feel like it comes up like every time it comes up that like that I'm involved in a Blink-182 podcast, like people are like, the first thing is like, Blink-182, how can you do that? But then like after like a second, it's like, oh, so do you talk about like how Tom's like weird about aliens, or like do you talk about how the drummer got in a plane crash, or like it immediately I don't know what it is, but there's so much to talk about with this band.
And I was telling these guys when we first put it together, like we're probably going to get listeners right away, just from like our small following that we've gained on Twitter just over the last week, because people like listening and like reading, and
like Blink fans will do anything to get more Blink news or hear more Blink things.
I think that's what one of the things that's like is so cool and unique about this band is it's one of those bands that did a pretty good job like fostering a community of fans that's still very much alive.
All right, and that's all that we have for you. One thing, just final thoughts on 6-8 as a whole.
I think that, well, so like you said, if you listened, I gave it a 6 out of 8. I think it's great. I think that. Oh, hey, Ryan just walked in.
Hey, Ryan.
So I think they said hi. I think 6-8. Like general thoughts. Let me see. I think it's really cool to see them working in some of that post-hardcore influence with that riff. Even though that wasn't my kind of music growing up, it's just neat to see like them going back to that well. And just hearing that kind of riff on a Blink song made me smile. I think that it's from a songwriting perspective, like this deluxe album, all the songs we're getting off of it, Parking Lot Misery, this, maybe not Can't Get You More Pregnant. They do seem to be different and in from California, and in a way that I'm kind of excited about. Like it sounds like I know it's just the deluxe album, and I know that a lot of these songs are kind of reworked songs that have been around for a little bit, but it sounds like this is what I imagine their next album would be like. Yeah. Like it's a little bit more Alkaline Trio-y. You can see like this songs like Sadie influence like that coming up into this for sure, I think, like with Misery and 6-8. So I'm stoked on it, and it more than that, it's making me more stoked about what this deluxe album is going to be. I think the next song is Wildfire that we're going to hear, and I remember like the description for that Mark just said
it's about
something about
Wildfire.
Like which is what I want. Like that's what I want from a Blink song. So far I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah. And this is my last for two things. Did you know Matt was singing the second chorus
in 6-8?
Yeah,
I did not.
Yeah. So that's, I think, because this was another song that was recorded before, like it could have gone on California but got cut.
Yeah.
I think this is when Feldman just wasn't doing a good, like it was in Bored to Death too.
I remember hearing Bored to Death and just not
I didn't
know
even
it.
the first time I heard Bored to Death, I didn't know Matt sang in it at all.
Yeah, I mean that was interesting because his voice is different. Like his voice is very different than Mark's, and it does sound similar in that. I think there's nothing bad with that necessarily, but I do think that if they're going to go the direction of making, like if they were going to do a song where they make their voices sound similar for parts, I don't know. I feel like that'd be a cool way to go about it, and it gives you some interesting things you can do with the song, right? If you have two people who sound very similar, and then like in 6-8, right? They sound similar for the chorus, but then Matt's like bridge and then his yelling is no one's gonna mistake that for Mark. So it's kind of neat to be able to have that range within a song.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was one other point I wanted to get to about just the deluxe album in general, which I was talking to another friend of mine who's a Blink fan. I just said that California is kind of like a feel good album.
Yeah,
It's something dark on it where I feel is like this just feels like everything about it. I feel like it's gonna be a darker, like even the cover
definitely
is black.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a really good point. Yeah, because California has the white background and this is the black background.
Yeah, I think that just like everything about it, just besides Parking Lot, I think, which they wrote to add a happy song onto it. Like they didn't have
right.
one written, and they
right,
had
and even
to
that's not like the happiest song
yeah,
ever.
yeah, exactly. It's just like it's more of a feel good one. Like that probably could have went on California.
Yeah, and I think so far these other ones like 6-8 would feel out of place on California.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like hardcore, and Misery I think also would be a little weird. It's a little bit like Bored to Death, but more sad than Bored to Death.
Yeah, that's just like very like I sent it to my one friend who's kind of into like harder like music. Like I sent him 6-8 and he's like, oh, that is harder. But I sent him Misery. He's like, I wouldn't say that's harder. It's just more depression-y, he described.
Yeah, yeah. It's sad. I mean, the song's called Misery.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, that's all we got. We really do appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks for coming on,
absolutely.
Mike.
Just-
Happy to be here. I'm excited for you guys. I hope I'm excited to hear the inaugural episode.
All right, so that was Mike from Take Off Your Pants and Podcast. What a guy. That was a really good interview.
Yeah, it was actually really cool. We planned on talking 6-8, and then, like a lot of Blink combos go, it kind of went off the rails, and we got talking Angels and Airwaves, and it was just a great conversation.
Yeah. So again, that's Mike from Take Off Your Pants and Podcast. Please do not listen to that. We can bring him on if you want to hear more of him, but just listen to our show. There's no need to listen to his too. I think ours is a lot better. But yeah, so moving on. I know Lloyd wanted to talk a little bit about how we were just talking about Tom, and about how the last couple of weeks, or mainly so far the last week, he's just been going off on Instagram, and I think he's getting a little lonely. I don't think he's regretting not being in Blink, but he's definitely lonely, and he's definitely feeling it a little bit.
Yeah, you can always kind of tell when Tom will go, he'll be radio silent for days, weeks at a time, and then all of a sudden I'll see him pop up a lot. I'm going to talk about his Twitter here. I got a couple tweets pulled up. But he brings up, I think on Instagram Live, he covered a Boxcar Racer song.
He played bass too, which I thought was a little interesting.
But he put up a picture on Twitter and said, maybe I should do more live Boxcar Racer songs on Instagram, as Trav and I still love that album. And I've noticed in the past that he'll throw Travis's name out there a lot. He actually tweeted at him too and said they had a good conversation today. I don't even know if I believe that. They might not have talked at all. But
I think they do talk. I think it's kind of like if you had like a group of friends and like you're mad at one of them, like you'll make it a point to like let the other person know that like, oh, I'm still talking to our other friend, but I'm not going to talk to you. Like he did that when Blink first got, when California was coming out. Tom had tweeted Travis like, oh, let's go to I forget the name of the water park.
Water park.
Where First Date was taking place, and Travis answered like, sounds good, man, but like he didn't talk to Mark about it, like, and I think it's just so much weirder between him and Mark because they were best friends, and I think Mark is just really fed up with Tom.
Yeah, he just completely cut him out, and I can't say I fully blame him there. Sticking to Tom's social media here, you're going to see your fair share of alien, space, moon tweets.
Yeah, he's a big, like, into, like, alien stuff, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of just scroll right by that.
Yeah, and like you said, you scroll right by it, and I'm so as I just mentioned earlier, we're talking to Mike. I'm part of like the To the Stars, like I'm like a brand ambassador pretty much for them, and I'm so involved. I try to like get into all of his projects as much as I can, but like it's hard. It's just not the stuff I'm interested in. There are people that are in that group that love it, and I totally get it. You love Tom DeLonge, you want to support everything he does, but that's just tough for me to get behind.
I will say that, and we'll get into the Boxcar Racer album. We'll do every album that any of these guys and their side projects have participated in. But I love boxcar racers, so
I
I,
think
do love
yeah.
the idea of him and I mean, he mentioned Travis doing some stuff with that, so that would be awesome if it happened. I just can't really.
It wouldn't. It would. As a Blink fan, it would bother me because him trying to bring back boxcar racer now would just be a total slap in the face to Mark. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
no.
I can't do a Blink album, but let me steal Travis for you for a couple months and work on this boxcar album.
Well, like you said, it could just be him saying
Yeah,
that.
that's a good point.
To just
like
get Mark a little jealous, though I don't
that,
think
I
he is.
that, and it could just be something like get the fans excited, like, oh, we do still love Tom. Like he needs to know that. I think like when Mark, like Travis only posts like what he's doing on social media. Travis is never gonna be like, hey, here's what I'm doing today. Mark genuinely tweets to be funny, and Tom just does it for like a cry for attention. It looks like
and NASA space.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it on the Tom social media roundup. We're gonna have more next episode. I'm sure he'll say something
he's
else
always
that'll
doing
grab our
something.
attention.
But yeah, I the general take I get from it, he's lonely, he needs attention, and he's doing things like that now, where now that he has some downtime to get that attention, and like you said, I'm sure he'll go radio silent pretty soon.
Yep.
And then fire it up again.
We'll hear from him in 2 weeks.
I hope he comes out with something coming out of this, little situation. I mean, I wasn't that into his solo stuff, but maybe if he's like going off the grid and has all this stuff going on, something good will come out of it. In that sense,
yeah, he certainly talks enough like he's gonna put something out. So maybe
like I said, he did share that post earlier in the week saying, new music coming. I'm gonna start working on it maybe next week. But we'll see. We talked with Mike. Mike said, same thing. He's never good, sticking to his deadlines. He's a very busy guy. He wants to start all these things, and I don't know if we'll be able to come through on it. I do think there will be something coming for either Angels and Airwaves or a solo project. Probably not Boxcar Racer, anytime soon, but I think something will come out, by the summer. I mean, I know. I guess he has that project release for August, so there should be music attached with that.
Sure.
But yeah, that's it for Tom. A little bit of Blink news, though. I did see that they at the end of their show, the encore. Travis leaves the stage. Mark's still out there because I think Mark's normally always the last one out there, just handing out sticks to fans, picks, things like that. And I don't know how it got started, but I'm assuming someone had a sign saying they wanted to play a song, or he just yelled it at him that he wanted to play a song with them. And he's like, "But Travis is gone." He's like, "Well, I can play the drums." He's like, "Oh, what song do you want to play on the drums?" And he said, "Always." And Mark calls him up. Matt comes back out, and they just played Always. And this kid kills it on the drums.
Oh, that's awesome.
He does really well.
Cool.
He had a couple towards the end. His fills to close it out were very, very nice. I play the drums every now and then. I play when I was little, but I still have a drum set. I don't play as much. I'm not very good. But I understand how that's a pretty tough song to play. It's a lot of the double hi-hat hits during the chorus. They're very fast, and you got to come right back down and hit the snare. So yeah, I thought that was very cool, and especially in such a big moment, he played that in front of everyone who came to see Blink.
Yeah, that is awesome. I don't have a musical note in my body, so I don't know what you just said about the snares, but I'm sure it was impressive. I'm going to take your word for it.
It was very impressive. Well,
Lloyd, I'm on the same page as that, but what I wanted to ask you, Todd, was you say you play a little bit of guitar, play some drums. Would you say the band got you into that, or were you an instrument guy before you became a fan?
I'll say this. When I was a little kid, my older brother got a drum set for Christmas, and I just thought it was really cool. And one day I went in this room and started playing it. I was probably 4 or 5, and my parents came rushing in along with my brother, like, "Oh my God, that's you playing?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's the big deal?" And like you're pretty good for being 5 years old. We're going to get you lessons. And I took lessons for a couple of months. And just as a little kid, I didn't have the attention span or wanted to deal with it. So I was a shame because I could have been pretty good, but I'm as good as I was when I was 6. But when I got to college, I still hadn't played guitar, which I really regret not picking up the guitar earlier too. I did community college for the first 2 years before going away, so there was a lot of downtime. And I went out and bought a guitar without knowing how to play. It's actually right there, Lloyd, if you look over. That's the guitar.
Good looking guitar.
Went out and bought it and tried to learn how to play, I think. And once I figured out how to play, I was looking at Blink songs before I even knew how to play. And eventually, I could still, there's a couple, Blink songs are pretty relatively easy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
The way I play guitar is the way I play guitar is based around how Tom DeLonge plays his guitar, which I'm sure is the same for any Blink fan who plays guitar. Because you grow up, like learning to play those songs, and then, I've dabbled. I recorded some of my own music, and like it sounds like Blink because that's the only way I know how to write music is just the same way Tom does. But yeah, Blink definitely was influenced me, and I remember going to a concert now was really cool. Like I remember sitting second row and I saw Blink in Atlantic City one time, and I was in front of Tom and I was so stoked to just see like how he plays the guitar.
Yeah, right up close like that.
There's a picture right there on my wall of watching Tom play, like where he puts the capo and things like that, and like how he plays it. Is it how I play that song? Like I watched the way he like played "Damn It," that riff, and like his fingers move a little bit different than the way I play. But it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've heard just from other music guys that those songs are really easy, but I'm sure even for non-performers like Lloyd and myself, we'd have to struggle. But I think it would definitely be fun to try.
Yeah. All right, well, moving along, I want to wrap the show up. I'm going to do this each week because it's so easy and it's so frustrating when you just see... I don't have a name for this segment yet. Right now, I'm just calling it Dumb Comment of the Week.
Yeah, that works.
I like that name.
Nice and easy.
Is just you just find a really dumb comment from a Blink fan, either on a YouTube page or Twitter or Reddit, just things they say that are really dumb. And I feel almost bad about this one because the guy follows us on Twitter, and he messaged me a direct message. I didn't even answer, but he said it says thread that every Blink-182 fan needs to read, and it's about 10 tweets in a row, just like a thread of tweets about how Blink-182 needs to get Mark and Tom back together. And we were just talking about this with Mike. It's so not true that it needs to happen. Like, Blink would not be putting out music right now with Tom, and if they were, it wouldn't be as often. Like, Blink's going to put 2 albums out in less than a year. Like, we would not be getting that with Tom, and we would definitely not be getting 2 tours. Like, we would not be seeing any of that. They would not be doing anything. And like I said, I'm not going to tear the kid apart for, believing that, because a lot of Blink fans, every Blink fan thinks that, I miss Tom, but I'm totally okay. I would love to have Tom in the Blink too, but I would love him to be committed, which he isn't going to be. So therefore, I don't want him to be part of the band. I'd rather take Matt, because I've really grown to like Matt a lot. I know it's probably not a popular opinion, but Matt has really grown on me, and I like his style of music. I think it's very interesting. I love his voice. I think he has one of the coolest voices in the world. And, like I said, we're getting to see Blink put out new music, 2 albums in a year. We're gonna see them again on tour in less than a year. Like, I'll get to see them in a month or 2 in July.
I think the big takeaway here is that when they first got back together, Tom, they took, I want to say it was like it felt like 2 years until Up All Night finally came out.
Yeah, it was.
And
they got back together in 2009, and 2011 Up All Night came out.
2 years. There you go. And you're just not getting that with Matt. You're getting so much better, so much faster production. They're putting out, like you said, the second album in a year here. And I mean, that's what Blink fans want. I'll be the first to, like, Tom was my favorite when the band was together, but
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's just works better this way right now. This is what we want.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And another thing is, I did see a comment. This isn't dumb. It's just it's sad that like this is what people think, but someone made a comment. Blink is so much more productive without Tom, and I do agree that they're being more productive than like other bands are. Like you said, 2 albums in a year is a lot. In most bands, it takes like a full year or 2 to write an album, and they're doing it within a couple of months and then putting it out. But it's sad that like Tom set a precedent that by them doing their jobs is considered just like being productive. Like their job, that's what they get paid to do. They get paid to put out music for us. And just because Tom wasn't doing that, people think like, oh, well, bands don't have to. Like, no, that's your job. Like you can take a year off after like an album release and a tour, but they weren't just doing that. Tom was just holding them back.
Yeah, we weren't getting anything from them.
All right, well, that's our first show. I think we're going to wrap it up there. You guys have any final thoughts you want to say?
I just want to say thanks to everyone for listening. Stick with us here. We're going to be putting out more content, more podcasts. and we're really looking forward to doing it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be hitting our groove and producing better and better shows each week. That's usually how this kind of stuff goes. But for our first show, I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah, and I was very happy that we had Mike join us from Take Off Your Pants and Podcast.
Don't listen to that.
Yeah, please do not listen to that. But it was great having him on.
Listen to
It
us.
was a great conversation. We're going to try to do that as often as possible. Bring a fellow Blink fan on, or someone in the industry who can give us some insight or their takes. It's just there's so many people around this world that love Blink-182. So the more we can talk to them and get different views and just spark up great conversation and give you guys something fun to listen to is what our goal is. But yeah, that's it for us. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Blink-180 Dudes podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Blink-180 Dudes. That's BLINK 180 Dudes.